So, okay, so first let's have a look at how we can debug our React project. In order to debug our React app, we need to create one first. So let's go here. I am in HYF-BE, so let me create a new React app. How can I create a new React app? Yeah.
Vitest.
Okay, now before we use something called npx create React app. So this is just another package allow you to create a React application. Now this one since 2023 last year is been no more supported. So even React team is now recommending when you want to create a React app, you need to use Vite. So this method is no more recommended because it's no more supported. Is that okay? Yes, no?
Yes.
So let me show you here. Create React app. Click on that. Click on that. So as you can see here, that's a command npx create React app. So it's just a package, just like Vite here, and the name of your app. However, as I told you, this one is no more supported since last year. So it's better, even React team is advising you to use Vite. Just small notes that was. So let's create our project. Let's go here. And let's just say npm create Vite at latest. Of course, my project, let's just name it React testing, for example, or no, React debugging. React debugging. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to go select React. I'm going to use JavaScript. Voila.
And Samir, what's the JavaScript SWC? It was.
I think it's, I've never used that, but I think it's related to WebSocket. It's just another library. Don't use it. It's for real-time application. Okay. Let me click on here and let me go to React debugging. I'm just going to open it. I want prettier.rc because I want to install Prettier. So I'll say .prettier.rc.json. I have some settings. So let me go to one of my project and copy the setting. Click on that. Some project, get movies. I should have something here. So I'm going to go to prettier.rc.json. I'm going to just copy this setting here. Voila. And yeah, you just install the dependency. In order to install the dependency, just npm I or install. And I need to install Prettier as well. So click on this one. Voila. Let me install Prettier as a dev dependency. npm I minus d capital Prettier. So minus d capital, it just will install it as a dev dependency. Without minus d, it will install it as a dependency. I don't want Prettier for production. I just want it to format my code while I am coding. So let's just say, let's get rid of some files. For example, asset, I don't want it. This guy here, I don't want it. This one here, I don't want all the CSS. So let me get rid of that. We'll rename that to main. You don't have to, but in any project or every project, I do the same. Main. And here, let's go to our app.jsx and let's get rid of all this stuff. And voila. And let's just create a div with hello. I don't need use state. I do not need all of those. So I'm going to get rid of those. Voila. Now I'm just going to run npm run format, which I did not create the script for it. So I need to create the script for it. So here I just format, voila. npm run format. Okay, now let me run my app, npm run dev, as you know. Click, and it will open it in localhost 5173. So let's go to this one, and voila, now I have my project. I want you, I don't want you, yeah. Let's get rid of those, all of those. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Let me go to my app application here. I'm gonna convert this one to arrow function. for consistency. Voila. Fine. I'm going to create a folder called component. Components like that. And let's go first to debug React app. First, so the first tool, it will be console.log. I mean, console.log, all of you know console.log. Let me create a header. I'm going to create a few components, and after that, we will try to debug these components. So first, let me create a header. Header.jsx. And in header, I'm going to just create a template here. Voila. I don't need React. I will need a title. Voila. And here, let me create a header. I'm assuming you know that already. We've done it 100 times, so yeah. Of course, title, it will be type of string, right? So prop type string is required. That should be fine. After that, let me create a form. Here, let's just click form.jsx. I will also create a template or a CP. In here, I don't want React. I'm not sure if I need any props, but now we'll see. So let me create a form here. Oh, yeah, let me create a form. And inside the form, I don't need action. I will create an input, just an input. Input type text, and here I'll just say type something. Yeah, search or type something. Type something. Voila. I need to add a button, of course, as you know. So my button is submit here. And yeah, I want just to grab the value and send it to apps. That's mean. Here, I want to grab the value in form. So let me name it text, for example, const. I will create piece of state, const text, set text, and it will be equal to use state. I need to import use state. From what we are importing use state? From where? We are importing the hook use state. From where?
From React?
Of course, from React. The default value here is listed, it's empty string. And now what I want to do here, I want to receive the value from the form. So let me get rid of this one. No, let's just keep it. I will just import my component, both of them, the header and the form. So let me import both. Import header. And I need to import form as well. So import. Yep. Import form. Voila. Now I will render both of them. So let me get rid of this one and let's render both of them here like that, header and form. Now, what do I want to do? The header, let's just name it here, React debugging. You can name it whatever you want to. So what do I want? I want to pass a function to a form as a prop. So I can just say, for example, const handle, let's name it handle text, for example. Handle text here. Handle text here, it will receive the text user right in the form here. And so I will just receive it. Let's name it value. And then after that, when I receive it, I'm gonna reset this value, this text to this value I am receiving from the user. So what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna pass this function as a prop to my form. We'll call it handle text, which will be equal to handle text. Should be clear so far, right? I mean, you've done that a million times, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And here, let's just do something under the header here. I'm going to just render my text like that. So yeah, let me make it H2 just low. It will be a little bit more visible. Fine. Now, of course, I am passing this function here inside my form. And so the function is called handle text. I will go to my form here. And now my form, it will accept one prop. And this prop here, it will called handle text. And here I need to add it to my form prop type here. Of course, it will be func for function, and it is required. That's fine. Now, what do I want to do? Well, what I want to do here, not when I click on the button, or actually before even I click on the button, let me create another piece of state here. just name it const, value, set value, or yeah, let's just name it value, set value. It's okay. Value, set value. We'll need again use state hop, and I need to import it as a top. Import use state here. I don't need a React. I just need use state. Voila. So what do I want to do? Well, that's my input here. I need to add value to my input. So what will be the value? What will be the value of my input? What will be the value of my input? It will be this piece of state, whatever the user type. So it will be value. And now I need to add an event. If I want to get whatever the user type, I need to add an event. What is the event? What is the event?
On change.
Of course, it must be on change. So here on change, I can pass directly a function. It will receive the event. And here I can use set value directly. And set value here, I need to pass event.target.value. Event.target.value. So each time the user types something inside this input here directly set value, this function here, it will change the value of the value here, and it will be the new value the user type. That's so far okay. We know all of that. Now to my form, because I'm using a form, I need to add a function which will be, or event. It will, what is the event here on the form? On
Submit.
Indeed, on submit here. And on submit, I need to receive the event. Why do I need to receive the event? Let's name it, I don't know, change handler, for example. No, on submit handler. Submit handler. Why do I need the event? Why do I need the event?
To send it?
No, why do I want the event? Here, I am inside the form. That means whenever the user types something, click enter or click on the button, what will happen to my page? Refresh. So I need to prevent this event, because the form by default, it will try to submit my data to the backend. And that's not what I want to. I want to stop this behavior. How can I stop it? Event.prevent
Default.
Event.prevent default. And after that, what I can do here, I need to check if the value is not empty string. So if the value here, this value, whatever the user typing is empty string, I don't want to set this value because it's already empty string, the default value. So I can just make a check here. I can just say if value. Can I do that? If value, just like .trim, actually, it will be good. What trim is doing? What trim is doing?
Removing space in front and after the text.
Good. So if the value.trim is equal to empty string, I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to return nothing. But if not, then I'm going to set the value to value. And after that, I need to empty these inputs. So I will say set value to empty string. Voila. And now after that, now notice here the function here, handle text, I am passing this value. Because I'm passing this value now, I will receive this value inside here. And to prove that to you, let's log the value. Voila, and we will have it. So let's try to see our component here, our app. As you can see, so let's refresh that. Click on this one, and now whenever I type something, notice what will happen. What's happening? Why is not logging? Did I forget something? Handle form. Nope. Yeah, I need to click enter or submit because I'm not clicking enter. Okay, so it will be on submit. That means when I click enter, voila. So as you can see here, that's my text here. And here, my text appear here and on the log as well. And the log coming from app.jsx, as you can see. So in this way, I just grab the value of the form and I lifted mean, so I move it up to the parent. So I move this value here from the form to the app.jsx, as you can see. And voila. That's not my objective. My objective here, I need to test my React component here or my React app. I'm sorry, not testing, but debugging. So how can I debug my React app? We have multiple ways to do that. First, it's the console.log, as you know. So for example, if I'm not sure about this value, I can just choose console.log. And that's the basic thing we do it in vanilla JavaScript and also in React. So let's, for example, see now, If I refresh now and I go to the console here and I type something and click enter, and as you can see, I am having the value, and also, as you know, it will tell me that it's coming from app.jsx line 12. So if I click on it, it will take me directly to the place here. And actually, that's what I want. That's the first step. The second step here, I can also, instead of using, if I'm not sure about console.log, I don't want to use console.log, you can use a debugger statement. The debugger statement here, it will just stop executing my code, and after that, I can inspect to see if the value is what I'm expecting or not. So let's try to do it again. I'm refreshing, so I will say just test like that, SS, click enter, and voila. Now I stop in debugger, as you can see. And of course, as you can see here, I can see in the local scope, the value, it's TETSSS. It's exactly what I'm expecting. And if I hover over the value, it will give me the value. And now I know that this value here, or this text here, after this line being executed, the value, it will change to this value, which is a TETSSS 6 times. That should be simple. I mean, that's what we've been doing since the beginning of the course, right? Yes, no? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get rid of this one. Now we have React Dev Tools, of course. It's not, we are just doing that, actually. We can do something much more than that. What do I mean by that? Well, let's go to React Dev Tool. Now, when you install React Dev Tool, you have 2 extra tabs. The first one is called the component. So if I click on the component, as you can see, it will show me a tree of my component. So as you can see, I have the root component, which is app, and inside the root component, I've rendered here the subcomponent, which is header and form. And not just that, if I click on app, notice here it's also being highlighted inside my page. So as you can see, it's been highlighted, my component, all of it. But also, if I click on app, notice what will happen at the right side. So if I click on app, it will also show me if there is any props. So currently I have so the prop here, I have nothing. I don't have any props here. The state here, if I have any state, it will show me, yes, I have one state here. And if, for example, if I type something like that, let's see if the state will check. No, but the state coming from the header, actually. So I need to check this one. But anyway, so it will show me if I have any props, if I have any hooks, use state, use effect, and anything. And also it will tell me this component rendered by what. So it's being rendered by create root, which is just a method exists in React DOM, which is a library here. React and React DOM is 2 libraries. That's fine. Let's go to our form here. First, let's go to our header. Now, if I go to my header, as you can see, I have one prop, the title here, as you can see, it's React debugging. Now, it's important to know if you have prop or you have state or you have hooks. Why it's important to know if I have props or I have hooks, specifically use state? Why it is important? Why it's important to know if I have a props or I'm using use state? What props and use state do? What they're doing to my component? What they are doing my component? So if I change now, no, notice here, if I change this one from React debugging to just debugging, will my component re-render or not? If my component re-renders, that means I will see the debugging title. So let's see. If I click on this one, while I have debugging, it's been, so whenever I change the props or I change the state, my component is gonna be re-rendered, okay? And how could I know it being re-rendered? Well, I can just look at this one here. As you can see, debugging, the title is being changed. That's been my component re-render. And also, whenever I change something here, so if I type something in here and I go to form, let's say, see this value is being changing, the state is being changing. That's mean each time I change this state here, my component is gonna re-render. So knowing the props and use state here, a different piece of use states are quite important. Why? Because they force my component to re-render. If I'm not careful about that, maybe my component will render multiple times, even when it's not necessary. And what it will be, so if my component re-rendering, even if it's necessary, what will happen, do you think? What do you think it will happen if my component re-render, and sometime without need? My application will be fast or it will be slow or what?
Slow.
Of course, it will be slow here. So it will affect the performance. If I don't need to re-render, so React work on the basis. That means if I don't need to re-render the component, I should not allow it to re-render. Only my component should re-render when needed only. Okay. Fine, so I know that's my props here. I know, so that's my props, which is handle change. Remember, each time this prop change, my component is gonna re-render. Each time this state changed, my component is gonna re-render. And also it shows me that this component is rendered by app, which is the root component. Is the idea clear here or not? Is the idea clear here or not? So can you see your props? Can you see your, if you are using any state, piece of state, you can just inspect them and see them here? Yes, no?
Yes.
Good. Now we have a few buttons here, actually. That button is important. So if I click on this one here, what do you think it will happen? So I'm selecting the header. If I select the header and I click on this eye, what do you think it will happen? So what will happen here, it will just show you the DOM in the element here. The DOM responsible for rendering this header. So if I click on that, voila, so as you can see, it will show me here is a DOM in the element. It will show me the piece of DOM responsible of rendering these components. So I have header, it will show me that's the header, that's the H1. Okay. So again, if I now go to my component here, so if I click on this button here, which you say inspect the matching DOM, it will just, if I'm selecting the form, and I say it will just, it's like I'm telling it, take me to the element component or the element, whatever is just representing this one, showing this one. So if I click on the form, notice it will just take me to the form here, and voila, it shows me its input, it shows me its bottom, its submit, and so on. Do you know now what is the functionality of this guy? Yes, no? Hello? What's happening with you? Guys?
Yes, but we can also go to elements and we will see the same.
Yes, but I'm just explaining the different here, okay?
Okay.
So again, if I click on this one, it will directly take it. You don't have to go to the element and search for it. No, here it's much easier. If I'm inspecting my component, I want to know how they look like at the DOM, because remember now all my React component, JavaScript or my browser here, engine does not understand React. At the end, it will be converted to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that's here. If I go to the element tab, I will see that everything is being converted actually to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as you can see. Is the idea clear? Yes. Okay, let me select this guy here, form, and here if I click on this button. So what is this button? Is just like an inset or like debug tool. So if I click on this one, it will just log my my component to the console. So let's try to log it. Click, and if I go to the console, see, so it's logging my form here. And as you can see, it's logging the props if I have any props here, which I have handle text here prop. Also, if I have any hook, which I do actually have a state here, so use state. And note here, that means the different element I am using. So I'm using a form. Inside the form, I have input, and then also I have a button. So again, this button here, when I click on it, it will just log everything related to my component to the console. Now, I need it, I don't need it, sometime yes, sometime no, but yeah, that's the functionality of this button. Is the idea clear? Just tell me yes and no, because I don't know if you understand or not.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thanks God. If I click on this one here, notice now normally, I told you my component, it will be converted to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But now here, if I click on this guy here, I'm clicking on the form. If I click on this guy here, it looks like it doesn't do anything, but it should actually here, it should view the source here. It should show me my component, but it looks like it's not functioning. Nope. So normally, well, as you can see. So when I click on it here, it will show me my component. Let's go again and try it. If I click on the header and I click on this button, it will take me to my component. It will show me my component here, as you can see, exactly like it is in my React app. So it will not show you the JavaScript and the HTML, the CSS. No, it will show you your component. And sometimes you need to see your component. I mean, just to check it. If you, instead of just going to your VS Code, you can just check it directly here. So those are a few buttons. They are useful sometimes in debugging. Yeah. So here, if you click on it, it will just show you the element that representing your component. If you click on this one, it will log everything related to your component to the console. If you click on this one, it will show you your component in the DevTools here, exactly as it is in VS Code. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
Okay, if I go to this button and I click on this button, we have a few settings. I record, I don't want that, I don't want that. Show inline, break on here. Component always parse, nope, that's not what I want to. I go to profile. Actually, I should have something here. What is it? Expand component always parse, nope, no. Debugging, append component state, no. Hide, no. Break on warning. No, it's not here. I think it's the second one in profile. But as you can see, if you click on here, you have another some setting, but these settings are very obvious. I mean, highlight, update, when component is there. Actually, that's what I'm looking for. If I select this guy here, notice, if I select this guy here, so you need to just go to general here and just select this guy here in general. Now, if I do so, notice what will happen. I will not tell you, you need to tell me. What's going on? What do you see?
It's highlighting.
Indeed. So every time, as you can see, when my component re-render, it will highlight like, and so as you can see, it will show me that's my component re-render. Now, if the color if it's color for any color, that means my component is re-rendering. If it's yellow, that means my component is rendering a lot. And if it's red, that means my component is really, I need to look at it. It's rendering even too much, even when it's not necessary. So if this color here, any color, that means my component is rendering, that's okay. But if I do it fast, notice it become yellow. That means my component is re-rendering a lot. And at some point, if it's even re-rendering too much, this color, it will become red. And like that, I need to check my component. That means I have a problem. I need to check my component. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
And now notice here, when I change this guy here, does my header re-render? So now the component is re-rendering, as you can see here, my component is the one is re-rendering. It's just my form is re-rendering, right? Does my header is re-rendering or not?
No.
That's good. That's good, because they are not related to each other, as you can see. Notice if I click on submit or click enter, what will happen? Click, and everything actually re-render. So again, let me show you. Notice now when I type something, only this form here is being re-rendered, which is normal. Why? Because if I go to my form here, I have a piece of state here. Each time the user change the input, type something, this state is going to update it. And when this state is going to update it, my component is going to re-render here. This one is going to re-render, which is normal. Now, when the app component need to change? Well, the app component need to change or need to re-render when this value is being changed, right? So when this piece of state changes, my app component, what will happen to my app component is going to re-render. But when this value changes, can anyone tell me when this value changes?
When we submit?
Indeed, exactly. So on submit here. So when I submit here, what I am doing, I'm taking this function and I'm changing the value. So on submit, this value is changing. And because this value is changing, the app component is going to re-render. And like that, the header also it's going to re-render. Why? Because the header simply is a child of the app component. And the form, of course, is re-rendering. So now let's notice again, refresh. Let me type something. Only this component is rendering, which is good. But notice if I click enter, what will happen? Click. So as you notice here, this one re-renders, this one it will re-render the first time, and this one also is gonna re-render. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
You need to be careful because as I told you, the philosophy is if your component don't need to re-render, you should not re-render it. Yes, the React is fast, React is smart, but I mean, it help your app to be more optimized and faster. That's basically everything related to the component tab. We have another tab also. I'm going to show you. Is it okay here? I didn't show you just one thing here. If I have a lot of components, let's say my project is very complex and I'm looking for a specific component, I can just type form like that. And voila, as you can see, it will show me my form here. So also you can use this typing here. So if you have a lot of components, sometimes it's really difficult to find the right component. All you have to do just type. Voila. As you can see. And then it will show you here, it will highlight it and it will show you your component. Should be easy. Yes. No. Good. Let's go to the fun part. Now we go to the profiler. So what the hell is this profiler? Have anyone used this profiler before? Have
No.
anyone used profiler before?
No.
No. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is a profiler here allow you to record a profile. That's what we call it, profiler. So here I'm going to click on this button. So notice if you want to clear the profiler, you can click on this button. If you want to reload or restart profiling, you are just like refreshing. I will show you these two guys here now. So what I want to do now, I want to check the performance of my application. So what I have to do, I have to click on this button and now it's recording. And now let me do something. Voila. Do that and I'm going to stop it. Click. Now, after I stop it here, notice what happened. So here it show me I can use a flame chart like that and I can use rank like that. It will show me the different component. As you can see, the different component is being re-rendered. So whenever my component here, as you can see, whenever my component in different color, that means it's colorful, that means it's been re-rendered. So here, if I hover over it, it will tell me, well, it's been re-rendered. So duration 0.7 millisecond. So my component form is being re-rendered in 0.5. I'm sorry, 0.7 millisecond. And also it will show me the explanation. Why is this component re-rendered? Because the hook is changed. So the hook is, that mean new state is changed. As type something, so it's normal, my component form is gonna change. And also I can just look at different profiler here. So sometimes I could have, let's go back a little bit. So as you can see here, it will show me my form because I type a lot of stuff. So my form changed a lot of stuff, as you can see. If I go to this profiler here, notice also the header and the form also is being re-rendered. When do you think this one happened? When is the header and the form re-render? When?
When you click enter.
When I click
Enter.
enter, because when I submit the form. And now here, as you can see, all three components actually they are colorful. That means all of them is being re-rendered. So if I click on the app, well, it's telling me the hook is changed. And indeed, the hook is changed because when I click on submit and I go to this one, this hook is going to change the value. That's the reason why it's been re-rendered. And if I go to the header, why is being re-rendered? Well, the parent component is re-rendered. So why you may tell me, okay, this header here, I didn't change anything. I did not change the state. It has no state. I did not change the props, but why it's re-rendered? Well, it's re-rendered because the parent component app is re-rendered. And that's the explanation here. So it's telling you the parent component is re-rendered. And if I go to the form here, well, as you can see, it's telling me hook change and prop also changes. And of course, the prop, what do I mean by prop change? Because if I go now to my form, this guy here, this function here is changed. It's been updated. When I click on submit, of course. Because here, what I'm doing here, I'm executing this function, I'm passing this value. So this prop is going to change. And also the state is being changed. So there's two reasons why this one happened. And that's simply what we call the profiler. I can show it in this way, or I can show it in this way ranked. So ranked here, it will rank it from the most time consumed, 0.3 millisecond, 0.1, 0.1 millisecond. Or if I like it this way, it's okay. If your component is not colorful, like let me show you. I don't have a lot of component to show you. If your component is gray, no color, that means it's not being re-rendered. But if your component color by any mean like that means simply your component is being re-rendered. And if you hover over this one, it will show you why. By the way, you need to click on, where is it? If you click on setting, yes, you have the same setting here. I don't want to, let me keep it here. Show inline warning, append. There is one setting you need to click. If you go to profiler, Yeah, you need to check this one. Record why each component is re-rendered while profiling. So if I don't check this guy, and I go to here, let me refresh and try again. Let me record another profile. Delete this one and record another profile. And let's click submit, stop it. Now here, if I hover over this one, it does not tell me why the component is re-rendered. Okay, so in order to tell me, because that's very useful, telling me why the component is re-rendered. If I want that to be active, I click on this one, I go to profiler, and then I need to check this one, record why each component re-rendered while profiling. So if I check this guy, and I delete this one, let me, I don't need it, refresh, and let's try to type something, click enter. No, I did not start the recording. Let me refresh. Enter, let me stop it. And now, yeah, okay. No, I think I stopped it. Come on. Enter, and let me stop it. And voila. So now here, if I hover over it, it will tell me why. So in order to know this why, which is very important, I just go to the setting profiler. I need to click this one. I'm gonna uncheck this one, highlight update component, because sometimes it's confusing. So it's just showing a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna uncheck this one. But while you're debugging, actually, it's a good idea to set it on, so you know. That's basically how we debug our React component. Of course, you can here, as you can see, you can upload a profiler. If you save it here, you can save a profile if you want to, and that's it. And here you can go to different profile, as you can see. So it records different step. You can go step by step and check what's being re-rendered. App, as you can see, and form like that. Let's click app form. Now, again, I told you if the color is yellow, that means my component is re-rendering too much. If you notice, there is difference between this one and this one color. Why? Because this form here is being re-rendering a lot. Each time I click on this, I add anything, it will be a re-render. But the app, no, only when I click on submit. So it re-render normally, the app re-render less comparing to the form. But it's just a color. I mean, yeah, that's simply how it is. Yes, no.
Yes.
Good. So that's simply how we debug our React application. Of course, it depends what do you want. You need to know which component you need to re-render, which component you don't need to re-render. It depends what do you want. And yeah, so you have some tool here with Profiler, which is really nice. You have some tool in component, which is really nice. You still can use console.log or debug in your React application, just like in vanilla JavaScript. But these tools are actually super cool. Now, before having this tool, we used to do, there are some packages here. So we need to install these packages here. So as you can see, we need to install a React Dev tool, and then we need to install Profiler, and after that, render it this way in my component. So it was kind of pain. Now here, we don't need to do anything of that. If you have React Dev tools, all you have to do just, well, click on that and just see the whatever you want and debug your code. Should be clear. Okay. Yeah. Question before I move to the second subject? Question?
No.
Good. I will see if they have any video. Also, I'll share it with you just so you can watch them. It's okay. Now, we come to a little bit annoying part here, and this part is how we can test our React component. Now, for us, we're gonna use we're gonna test our React component with something called Vitest. Does anyone know what is Vitest? Does anyone know what is Vitest?
No.
So,
I just saw that it was an alternative to Jest.
yes. So Vitest here, this guy. Now, because we are using V to create our React app, as I told you before, we use create React app. And with create React app, when you create it, everything, it will come. Even the testing it will come set up for you. So setting up the test, sometimes it's quite annoying, actually. So if you are using create React app, it will come with Jest, and also it will set up all the environment for you for testing. So it was kind of simple when it comes to testing. Now, because we are using Vite and create React app is no more supported, we're going to use some alternative for Jest, and it's called Vitest. Now, what Vitest is going to do here it's going just to run your test. So it's test runners. That means when I type npm run test, it will keep watching your test whenever you make changes, and it will run your test and show you if your test is being passed or not. That's the only what we need from Vitest. And of course, we need to import some few stuff here. For example, expected 8. So it's not different from Jest. It's very similar to Jest, but here it's more compatible when we are creating our React app using Vite. Other than that, there is no huge difference between this one and between Jest. Is it okay? Yes, no. That's all you need to know. Okay.
Yes.
Now here, if I go to my guy here to test my React component, I have two stuff. I have with JavaScript, and also if you go down, you will see with TypeScript, if I'm not mistaken. Let's hope it's here. Well, I use TypeScript. Now, to be honest, Vitest with TypeScript is super simple to set it up. So it's quite simple with TypeScript. With JavaScript, it's a little bit pain, but I managed to do it. It's fine. So for TypeScript, if you want to use TypeScript, is instruction are here. Other than that, it's the same. Let's go to JavaScript, because normally we use JavaScript, and try to do the same idea. So I need to create, let me keep the same project actually. I'm gonna just get rid of this component. I don't need you. I don't need you. In my app here, let me get rid of all of that, and let me just create an H1. Let's name it hello. Let me get rid of all of that. Let me get rid of all of that. Voila. Now my application is clean, I suppose. Okay, good. Now, what do I want to do if I want to set up a test? Well, first, when you are working with test, it's not really important to show your application, because we are not really interested in showing the application. But most of your job, it will be in VS Code. So first, I'm going to stop this server. And after that, I'm going to this different step to set up my environment. So first, as you can see, I need to create a Vite project, or I'm sorry, React project using Vite. I'm gonna select JavaScript. You already know that. After that, I need to cd into the file, npm install, and then run my diff. I've done all of that. Then after that, I need to install some dependency. I need this dependency to run the test. So what are these dependencies? First, I have Vitest. Vitest, as I told you, it's test runner, and also it helped me to, it's alternative for Jest. Okay, we have Jest DOM. Jest DOM, as I told you, it's like it helps you to create a DOM, because in reality, when we run our tests, we will run them in VS Code. We will not run them in the browser. And as you know, in the VS Code here, do we have VS Code? That means we are using Node. Do we have a DOM in the Node? In Node, do we have DOM or not? On the backend, do we have DOM?
No.
Of course, we don't have. And here we are not using the browser, so we don't have a DOMs, but just DOM here, it will help us to create a fake DOM, or it help us to create a DOM so we can test our application. We have React testing library, and that, of course, React testing library, you can go also to the documentation of React testing library. It's a very huge library, and we use it a lot to render our components. So we will be able to render our component using this React testing library. That's fine. So we need this one as well. After that, what do we need? Well, we need just DOM here. This just DOM is just like just DOM, but it's very specific for React library. So yeah, it will give us also, it will help us to create a DOM here. And if we have a DOM, we can test our, simply we can test our application. Then we have user event. So user event is another library. It helps us to test when the user click on the button or something like that. So any user event here, this library, it will help us. Now, all you have to do, you just have to copy those, go in here, and just paste it, enter. That's all you need to do. Okay, now I've installed all this library, which is cool. After that, what do I need to do? Well, before that, let me check I have everything. So as you can see, I have testing library just DOM. I have testing library React, and I have testing library user event. I also have just DOM, and I have Vitest. That means I have everything. Now I need to add another script to, because if I want to run the test, I need a script. Can anyone tell me what is a script? I will name it test, but what do I need to use after test? So test, Vitest. All you have to do, I have to do just that, test. And what is the package or the framework we are using here? Normally we use Jest, if you remember, in the front, in the vanilla JavaScript. Here we are using Vitest, and you just type Vitest. That's it. I think should be clear, right? Or no?
Yes.
So far, all of them are, we are not really testing. We are just setting up our environment. You don't need to remember anything because it's there in the MD file. All you have to do, just copy paste this setting. And after that, just to set up your test. And after that, you need to run your test. Okay, let's go to this one. Now I need to go to v.config.js and I need to copy paste this guy. So I'm going to go to where's v.config.js. I'm going to delete those and I'm going to paste those. Simply like that. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's go to the other step. Here now I need to create a new file which is called setup.js and it must be in the root. Okay, so let me go to my root. That's the root of my project. So I need to create it in the root. Click, and I'm creating this file. Click. So setup.js, and here I need to copy this guy and paste it there. Copy this guy, paste it there. Okay, that should be fine. What else do I need now? Yeah, I don't need anything else. Now I can start testing my component now if I want to. Okay, now all I have to do, I can just say npm run. What was my script? What was my script?
Test.
Yes. So if I click npm run test, so as you can see here, what the hell is telling me? Exclude test cyber. No test found. So it's telling me I don't have I cannot see any test. That's what it's telling me. So it's stopped. So let's create our first test. So how can we create our test? We have our app.jsx. So let me create a new file here. And as you know, in testing, not inside component. So in testing here, I need to name the file testing the same as the name of my component. So it will be app.test.jsx or GS. It doesn't matter. So that's my testing file here. As you can see, that's my app. That's my testing file. Same name exactly as you can see, but I'm just adding test, which is okay. Now, what should I do? Well, now what I need to do really, I need to import some stuff. So what are these stuff? First, I need to import from React library some stuff. So I need to import something called screen and something also called render. So render, it will help me to, sorry, render. So render, it will help me to render my component. Screen, it's just like the document in vanilla JavaScript. Do you remember in vanilla JavaScript what was the document? Can anyone tell me in vanilla JavaScript what was the document?
Object.
It was the greatest object which include everything. So here the screen is the same idea. Whenever I'm trying to select an element or do something, I need to use screen instead of the document. Okay. I need to import something from Vitest. So I need to import. If you remember, I need to use it, expected, or expect, expect like that, if I'm not mistaken. So and describe also, describe. All of them, that should be from, no, not from just from Vitest. Vitest like that, voila. So I've just installed it, expect, and describe here because I need to write my test here. And without those here, with it or test, by the way, it's the same. If I don't have this guy, I cannot write my test. And after that, the final step here, I need to import my component. Because if I don't have my component, how can I test it? So if you remember in vanilla JavaScript, when we start testing with just, what was the first step? I can create a describe, right? Describe, what does describe take? What does describe take?
A function as a parameter.
First, it takes as a message, which will be string, and the second one, it will be a function, which will be an arrow function. And of course, as you know, describe, it's just working as a suit. So it will just group all your tests inside this describe here. And of course, here, what I'm trying to do here, well, I'm trying to now to test my, what do I have here? Let's say testing component. Voila. Fine. Now here, what do I want to do? First, to write my test here, I need to use it, right? So it will be the same idea. Now here, it takes two parameters, just like describe. The first parameter, it will be a message description of what I'm trying to do. And the second one, it will be just an arrow function. Voila. Okay. Now here, what I'm trying to do, well, I will try to test if this guy here, it exists in the DOM or not. Now, if it exists in the DOM, that's what I want to, because whenever I run my application, I want to see this guy in the DOM. And now here, I'm trying now to test if it exists in the DOM or not. So let's just say, check if H1 header like that exists in the DOM or exist or visible, whatever you want to call it. Fine. Now, how can I do it? Well, it's the same idea as we use it in vanilla JavaScript. I need to use expect. No, I'm sorry. First, I need to now to render my component. So how can I render my component? Any idea? How can I render my component? So first, I need to render my component. So all the time when you try to test something in React, those are the steps. First, you will put your describe and it. That's normally what we do even in vanilla JavaScript. Now, after that, the step here, I need to render my component. If I don't render my component, I will not have a component. So I need to render my component. Of course, I don't have a DOM in the backend because, as you can see here, I am using actually Node to run the test. But from testing library, allow me to use this function, which is called render, and it allow me to create like a DOM. So now I need to render my component. But how can I render my component? It's simple. I just need to call the function render. And then here I need to render my component. So just like a normal component, app slash, voila. Now I render my component. That's the first step. So all the time, the first step, I need to render my component. Now the second one here, I will now try to select the element I want to. So I can just say const, let's name it header, for example, header. It will equal to, and now here I need to use something. So I need to grab this H1. But this H1 here in the DOM, okay? I don't have the document here. So what should I use? Which one I should use to select this guy here? I told you there is one variable here or one thing here, one object here. It looks like it's very similar to the document, and I need to use it whenever I want to select something.
Screen.
Oh, great. So it's the same idea as you can see. So nothing changed. Screen. If I say screen dot, and as you can see, I have a lot of matcher here. So I can get by text. I can get by title if I have the title. I can get all by alt text if I have a lot of image with the alt text. I can query by the values being displayed. I can query by label. I can query by rules. That means, for example, what is the rule of H1? It's a header. I can query by test ID. So I have a lot of stuff to query by. Let me query by text. So if I query by text, that means, what does my H1 include? What is the text here? What is the text here? What is the text?
Hello.
Hello. So all I have to do now, I just say get by text, and now I need to pass my text hello. Voila. And now like that, if this guy, if this H1 exists, if this header with this text, that means it will be selected. And now here I need to now run my, I need to now write the final piece here, run my assertion. And my assertion, as you know, I need to say expect header, because that's my element header. And now here also, if I click on this one, I will have a lot of matcher. So I can have throw, I can none, alt, so all of them. Of course, you don't need to remember all of them. I'll show you now the documentation and how can you grab them. But now here, I need to make sure it is in the DOM. So the matcher here, it will be to be in the document. To be in the document, that means it will be visible in the DOM. Now here, in order to make sure that my test is running, I just need to say npm run clicky, and voila, as you can see, it passed. And notice now here, my Vitest, what is doing here? It's not stopping here, it's keep watching. So it's keep watching all the time. And now whenever I make changes, it will run with the changes to see if they are being passing the test or not. Okay, let's see. So that's a simple way to just test my component and make sure that this guy here is visible. Is the idea clear?
Yes, Samir.
Yes.
So for vanilla JavaScript, is it best to use start using Vitest also?
No, because vanilla JavaScript, we are not using Vite. So the reason why I'm using Vitest, because as I told you, the application I created with Vite, and Vitest is more compatible with Vite and faster comparing to Jest. Now, in the near future, maybe, but currently now in vanilla JavaScript, the best actually library to test is Jest for now. In few years, probably it will change, but for now, keep it this way. Okay?
Okay.
Fine. Voila. Now here I give it a class and here title. So let me now from now on, all I have to do, I do copy pasting. So I'm gonna just copy this one. Voila. And of course, I'm gonna delete this one. So let me delete it here. So what do I want to do here? Well, I need to make sure that it has a class. So I can just add here, make sure. So I will write a comment, make sure H1 has a class. What was the class? Title, right? And now here, if I do that here, I can get by text. So I can get my header again, the same idea. Let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of this. Oh, shit. No. Remember all the time, whenever you are doing any test, you need to render your component all the time. Why? Well, because here in setup, as you can see here, we are saying after each cleanup. So what does that supposed to mean? That means after each test, what's going to do here, it will clean your DOM. So you'll have no more DOM. And that's the best setting, because like that, you'll make sure that one test, it will not affect the other test. You'll make sure 100% that each test is separated. You don't have to worry about this setting, but you need to know that each time you want to test something, you need to render your component. Each time, as you can see. So now I'm trying to grab the header again. I will just say screen get element by ID. And now here I need to know if it has a class or not. I will just say now expect, same idea, header. I will pass in my element here, header. Now here, if one of the matcher here, if I click on this one and I say to have, so let's just see, to be called, to be checked, to be defined, to be disabled. If you check of all of them like that, something has to have a class. So one of the matcher I'm saying, I'm telling you, it should be to have, to have, or to has actually, to has a class, if I am not mistaken, that's a matcher, to has a class. I don't remember actually the matcher. To have a class, it's not to has, to have, and voila, class. And now here I will pass my class. And of course, if it's correct, as you can see here, I have two tests, both of them are passed. So that's how we check if the element exists and visible in the DOM. That's how we check if it has a class or not. Of course, you may tell me, but how could I know this matcher? Well, because now you're setting up every time you just say dot, you can search through them in VS Code if you want to, or we can go to, so of course you have testing library, which will give you some example. You can go through them as well. So as you can see, if I want to query element, I can query get by something. I can query, I can find, so you can go through this. But that library allow us really to query the element. It will be just DOM, React just DOM, which is, where is it? This one. I'm gonna share this link with you. So just DOM here. And now if you go down here, so it will show you all the custom matcher. So to be disabled, we've seen it now. To be enabled, to be in the document, we just seen it. To be invalid, to be valid, to be visible, to contain HTML, to have access, to have a class, should be here actually, to have a style, and to have value and stuff like that. And of course, if you go down here, you have for each case, you have an example. So if you go down here, for each case, you have an example here. So for example, to be enabled, and it will show you an example how to use it. To be in the document, voila, so that's it, and it will show you an example how to use it. And so on and so on and so on. So you have an example, don't worry about that. I'm gonna share the link for this library with you. What I'm trying to say, you don't have to remember anything, but you just need to know the idea here. I need to do that, I need to do that, and after that for the matcher, you don't have to remember them, but when you use them a lot, you will start to remember them anyway. And also have a look at this library, which is testing library. It includes something, you can just read it here to enhance your testing skill. Is that okay? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So now we did this one. Now let's try to create a component here. I will create a component header because I don't think I have a header. Let me delete this test file. Of course, now this guy, it will crash. Let me get rid of this one here. I don't want this one like that. I want to create a component header. So let me create a component called header like that. .gsx, and of course I'm gonna create a template RAFCP. I don't need React in here. So now let me create my component. I need one prop which will be title. And in here, I'm gonna change the GSX. I want header actually. Inside the header, I want H1. And here I need to add my prop, which will be a string, as you can see, required. That should be fine. Now let me go to my app.gsx and try to import my component, which was header. Import header. Voila. And now I will render my header. So let's render my header like that. And I need to add header. And the text here will pass hello. It's fine. It's whatever I want to. So now I'm going to this file now inside the component. A good practice all the time is that your file must be close to your component. Like that, you know, they are related. So I need to say header dot, what will be the name of the testing file? Header dot test dot
JSX.
JSX. Voila. I need to do the same step now. So it's the same ugly step here. I need to do again and again and again. So first I need to import what from React library? I need to import render and screen. And voila, from React testing library. But here it should be, oh, no. Like that. It's namely import, and from now it should be good. Voila. I need to import something else now. Here it will be from Vite, right? What do I need to import from Vite or Vitest? Expect. Yes. Describe.
It.
And I need to import it from Vitest. And of course, I need to import my
Your header JSX.
I need to import my component because I'm trying to test it. So the first step here, I need to create a describe, as you know. So describe by default, it takes two parameters, a message here. Let's just say header component. Like that. And here, of course, now inside this one, I can have multiple it if I want to. So I'm going to create one it. And as you know, it takes two parameters as well. The first parameter, it will be a message. And the second parameter, it will be an arrow function. Voila. And after that here, what I'm trying to test? Well, I'll try to test if, let's say if the props here is passing or not. So if when I pass the prop or not. So let's just say testing props. Testing props like that. Because my header is take one prop, if I'm not mistaken, right? So if I go to main, if I go to app here, it's take one prop, hello. So let's go to here, that's fine. So now, what was the first step? Can anyone remind me what was the first step in each test? What should I do? So far, those is just like vanilla JavaScript. Now, what's the first step I need to do? I just explained it, guys. What's the first step all the time I need to do?
Render component.
Exactly. So first I need to re-render or render my component. So I need to use render like that. And render, it's just a function or a method, and I will render my component just like I render it in GSX. So I need to pass a title, as you know. Why? Because I have a title component. So it must be exactly like this one here, as you can see. I take one prop, I need to pass one prop. After that, I need to select my element here. So what will be my element here? So let's see. My element is H1. So let's try to select our header. I will name it header. What you can name it whatever you want. Const header is equal to screen. I can now use by rule if I want to, right? What do I mean by rule? I can either use get by text or get by rule. What do I mean by rule? What is the rule of H1? What is the rule of H1? Is it a header? Is it a button? Is it a link? What is the rule here?
A header.
Yes. So what I can do here, I can just say, if I'm not mistaken, it was query. And yeah, it was get actually. Get by rule. And get by rule here, I need to pass two stuff actually. I need to pass, the rule is heading. So as you can see here, show me different rule. Heading, image, insertion, link, list. So what is the rule of this element I'm trying to select? That's just another method here. Of course, now, as you know, the rule here, it will be heading. So where is heading, heading, heading? I just need to type heading. And here, after that, I need to pass an object. What is the level here? Is it, or what is, I can pass a name here. Well, the name here, it will be the text inside it, or I can pass the level if I want to, it will be a little bit better. So I can pass level 1. Why level 1? Why level 1? Why level 1? Why not level 5?
Because it's on the same level as H1?
No, because H1 here. Level
Is
mean,
first child.
yeah, but level mean it's H1 or H2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. That's the level mean. So here, which H1 we are using? Now, if I use H3, for example, H3 like that, the rule still heading, okay? But here the level is different. As you can see, I have an error here. I need to make the level now 3. And if I make it 3, voila. Do you understand now what is the level?
Okay, so the heading is only for H1, H2, 3, and until
Only
6.
for, yes, only. That's why you call it.
Okay.
So,
So for the paragraph, it will be,
I
or
don't
for, yeah.
paragraph. Let me see if the paragraph had anything. This P. Actually, let me try to do that. I don't think we have a level for paragraph here. Let's see, paragraph. Let me see. Let's click heading. So we have heading, we have image, we have insertion, link, list box, list item, log, main, marquee, I don't know what's that, mass, menu, menu bar, menu item, checkbox, navigation, none, and I don't have paragraph, Agnieszka. So that means in the paragraph, I need to use another method.
Okay.
So for heading, I have it, and I can use now level 3, but I don't want to use level 3. Of course, I want to use level 1. Voila. And here, of course, I need to check this one. Okay, now I've selected my header here. What do I need to check? Well, maybe I need to check if my header is visible. Or maybe I need to check, actually, I can use 2 here. So I can just say expect my header to be in the document. So to be in the document, that means it's visible in the DOM. And also I can check here if it contain a text which is hello. And as you can see, my test here is passing. Of course, now I can render this test and this test differently. For example, now what I can do, I can duplicate this test. Same idea here. And now here I need to remove this one and I make its own test like that. And like that, I have 2 tests here. Here testing props, and here also we are just, yeah, we are testing if, let's say testing if the header is in the DOM or visible. Wow. And that's simply how we test. Cool. So again, the rules are very simple. After you set your environment, which you have a detailed description in this MD file, all the time you need to import this stuff, render and screen all the time. Of course, you will put your describe. It's not something new. It's just to group my test and it here to run one specific test or to include one assertion here. I need to get rid of this one. Okay. Now here, after I do that, first I need to render my component. If I have any props, I need to do that. I need to pass the props. And after that, I will try to select my element. Of course, there is many ways to do that. Get by rule, get by text, and so on and so on and so on. So it really depends here. If you are using get by rule, you need to define the rule. And here in an object, you need to specify, for example, the level or the name. And the name here, it will be the text inside it. Yeah, and for this matcher, all you have to do, you need to go to the library, which is just DOM, and it will show you all these matcher with example for each. That should be okay. What else I want to show you? So let's try to create an input now. And yeah, so let's try just to create an input. I will create another component, new file, and I will name it input. What time is it? Actually, maybe we can take a short break. It will be better. Input, let me just create my input. I will create, then we'll take a short break. I don't want you now. I will need props for the input here. It's okay. It's fine. It could be div. I just need an input here, type text, and maybe I need a button here. Button here, for example, click me. or whatever you want. Okay, I will need a prop, but now I will just do that. Let me import it in my app.jsx. So import input. Voila. And let's render my input here. Okay, guys, let's take a short break, 15 minutes, and then we'll come back to do two more testing, just to you get used to it. And after that, maybe you can build a small project and try to test it yourself. Of course, all the time, as I told you, you can go to the library, you can try. You can also use ChatGPT. ChatGPT also, it will help you on that. Okay.
Okay.
Enjoy your break. I'll be back at 15 minutes. So I've created a new input here, as you can see. I have I have an input and I have a button. And now what I want to do, let's go to app.jsx, and here I will just create a function, const. Let's name it click handler. And this click handler, it will take the value from the form or the input. And here, what I want to do here, I just want to log this value, maybe. That's all I need currently. Okay, fine. Now this click handler, I need to pass it to my input, as you know, as a prop. Okay, voila. Now let's go to my input and let's receive this function as a prop. And of course, I need to add it to my prop types. Voila. Now, what do I want to do? Well, as this input here, I need to give it a value. And the value here, it will be a value. And I need to create a piece of state, as you know, so const, let's name it value, set value, and here it will be, I'm using useState by default, it will be an empty string. So let me import useState. Voila. And in here, what do I want to do? Well, the value is here. Now I need to add an event, which will be on change, right? On change, I need to receive the event. And then what do I need to do? I need to set the value to what? Event.target.value. That's okay. Now here in my button, I'm gonna add on click button. So on click event, and in click event here, I can just say, for example, this click handler, let's just name it button handler, BTN handler. You can name it whatever you want, of course. That's my button handler. It will be a function, and I need to say const. Voila. So what do I want to do? Well, I need to check if the value here, and I need to trim it actually. So value.trim, in case I have some extra spaces. If it's strictly equal to empty string, I can return it. Do you know why I don't need the curly braces here? Does anyone know why I don't need the curly braces here?
Because it's on one line.
So if it's one line, I don't need curly braces here. I'm gonna change it just so it will not be strange for you. So voila. And of course, now here I can just call my click handler with the value. And after that, I need to set the value to empty string. So what will happen here? Well, let's go to my, I cannot see my component. But anyway, so I just have a simple component. This component take a click handler prop. And whenever I change this value and I click on the button, this value is going to the app.jsx. And here we are just logging it, simply like that. Now I will try to write some test for this input component. So let's create a file first. What the hell is going on? Okay, new file, and let's name it input. Input dot what? Dot test dot gsx. What should I import? What do I need to import? Yeah. What do I need to import? Render
And screen.
from testing library React. And then I need to import expect describe it from Vitest. And I need to import my component now. So my component is here. Okay. After I import all of them, now I need to just put a describe. And as you know, describe here, I take two parameters. The first parameter, it will be a message or string, and the second one, it will be an arrow function, as you can see.
Samir, on line 4, it shouldn't be input, not header, import.
Right.
Input.
You're absolutely right. Import input, because my component is input. So you are right. Okay, now let me create one file, one test already. So it will take a string and an arrow function. You can copy paste it, by the way. I'm writing it just because I want to explain to you, but you can just copy paste it. I mean, it's the same idea. So here I'm trying to test the input component. Voila. And in here, the first one I need to see if it's rendering the text or the input text and the button. So here, render input type text and on button. So let me check if they have a button or not, if they have an input text or not, because my component here is rendering actually an input and button. So let me make sure those are in the document or not. And in order to do so here, first I need to get my input, and then I need to get my button. So how can I get my input and how can I get my button?
Render.
No, yeah, first I need to render my component, of course. So first I need to render my component. So if I want it or not, don't want it, I need to render my component. And of course I need to pass here a function. And here, because I don't have a function, I need to, as you can see, I'm creating just an empty arrow function. Because here my input is expecting what? A probe is expecting a function, which is click handler as a probe. So I'm just passing a function here. Now I need to select my input. How can I select the input? I can just say const input. Input, it's equal to screen dot get by rule. What is the rule of my input? Can anyone tell me what is the rule of my input? If I click on this one and I search here, we have text box, right? So if I search between all of them here, I have something called text box. And I have a button. So I'm going to just do a text box. And here it will, because my input is type, what is the type? Type text. Okay. So I can just select by rule here. Is the idea clear or not? Hello?
Yes.
Just one method here. Now here, let me select my bottom as well, and the rule, it will be bottom. So I can use the same selector here. Screen.get by rule, the rule will be bottom. So now I have my bottom and I have also my input. So what do I need to make sure? I need to make sure both of them exist or they are in the document. So what I can do, I can just say expect input to be in the document and also expect button to be in the document. And if I do so, it looks like I have something here wrong. Get by rule. Well, I shouldn't have any problem here, I think. What's the error? There are no accessible rule, but there might be some accessible rule if you wish to. Actually, there is unable to find accessible element with rule text box. Let's just say text. No, you should have text box actually. Let me just close this guy. I will just hit Q and let me run it again. Okay, two pass, but one fail. Why? Because here it's look like it cannot find the input, which is a bit strange actually. So type is text, value is, it should be okay. Change here, everything is fine. I don't find any problem actually. My test should be working. And get by rule text box. It should be, yes, text box. It's just a text. Just do that and say, I have text box, it should be there. Okay, so I have a button. Alert, no. Article banner, no. Button, yes. Check it. Checkbox is not checkbox. text box, it should be clear, actually, 100%. Let me ask ChatGPT to see what's the problem here. Here, just say, can you fix my best with Vitest? Let's see. Get by rule. Yeah, but it's the same I'm doing. Get by rule. Strange. Anyway, let me try to copy paste that and see if that will work. And surprisingly, it worked. So what is the problem? Don't tell me what's the problem because I do not know really what's the problem. Okay, render my component. So I'm rendering my component. As you can see, I'm passing a function. Why? Because my component expect a prop as a prop function, which is click handler. Of course, I'm passing, just as you can see, an empty arrow function. Input screen dot get by rules. The rule is text box, and it should be passed. Button screen get by rule, which is button. And here I'm checking if both of them exist in the document. And as you can see, both test, my test is passing. So that's good. Now, what do I need to do here? Well, I need to try to simulate if, for example, if the user click on, whenever the user click on the button, I need somehow to make sure that this function here, which is click handler, is being called by the value of the input. Do you understand what I'm saying or not? So let's say I have an input. So when I type, for example, test, and I click on the button, then this value here, it will be called with this value, with this function, which is click handler. Why? Because the click handler, as you can see, that's my click handler. The value go to the click handler, and then the function here being called by this value, which is coming actually from the input. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys, or not? Yes, no? If I type something here, if I type a value, let's say my name, Samir. If I type something and I click on the button, what will happen? Can anyone tell me what will happen? Guys? Hello? Oh my God.
It will set the value to Samir.
Yeah, but if I click on the button, this function will be triggered, right?
Yeah.
Then it will check if the value is not empty string, then it will call this function, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means it will call this function with the value, right?
Yeah.
And now I will try to test that. Okay, so let me add another it here. Let me just remove all of those. I don't need those. And here I need to test what? I need to test that's on what's the name of the function? It's called handle click. So handle click is called with the value, the input value, just to make it sure, the input value. Okay, I need to render my component again, as I told you. So let me render my component. Let me just go here, render my component again. Now, before I render my component here, I need to have this function now, this function here, which is called handle click, right? Do I have a function handle click here? So handle click function here, I need to remove it. Why? Because simply I don't have it here. So I need to somehow to create a fake function. Why? Because if I don't have, so if I pass an empty function, it will not be called with the value because I'm not expecting or I'm not taking the value here, right? Yes, no. Do you understand what I mean? If I go to the input here, now notice when I call the function, I am passing the value, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, but here in my test, I'm just passing an empty function. And simply that means even if I have a value, it will not log the value. It will not be called with the value. So I need to find a way to do something here. So what I can do here, I can now create my function. So I can now say const click handler. And as you can see, it's using just. I cannot use just because I'm not using just as a library. I'm using VI or Vitest. So I need to import VI also from Vitest. So VI is just mean Vitest. And Vitest.func, you may tell me, what is Vitest.func? It's just giving me like a function, okay? So is this one here, it's creating a fake function. And like that, now I can call this function. So this function here, it's not a real function, but again, Vitest, this library, it's if I need a function and I say vi dot function here and I execute it, it will give me a function. And this function, I can use it now to do my test. So again, whenever I need a function, and as you know, in my component, I need a function. Well, Vitest, I need first to import vi also from Vitest. And vi here, if I need a function, I can just call this function. And as you can see, if I have over it, it's a property. It's giving me this function already. So it's not a real function. It's a mock function. I cannot create a real function. So I need now just to get this function from Vitest. So I will just say vi dot function. Whenever I need a function, I just need to use that. That's it. Vi dot function, and I need to execute it. So now that's my function. We call it mock function. That means it's not a real function. And now I'm passing it now to my component. Okay. Again, I need to get my both text box and bottom like that. So I need to get both this value. I'll use the same here, as you can see. And now after that, now I need to fire an event. So what do I mean by that? Now here's the input. Of course, it will not work. I need to type something here. What was the event on the input? Can anyone tell me what was the event on the input?
On change?
On change, exactly. So now what I can do here, I can use fire event. And you may tell me, what is a fire event? So a fire event here is also coming from testing library React. So it's coming from this library and allow me to simulate when I click on the button or when the user do something. So whenever I want to fire an event, if it's click on the button or on change or whatever event I want to, I need to use this fire event. Now, fire event here, it has a lot of events. So as you can see, I have change, I have click, I have copy, I have all the event, double click, cut. So it's just like I'm selecting an element here and I'm adding event listener. Okay, what is my event? Change. So I will just type change here. Okay, now if I do that, after that, I need to pass the value I want to. So the value I want to here, of course, it will be for the input. So I need to pass my element. My element is the input. And after that, I need to pass what the value I want to be to the target. So if you remember here, whenever I access the value of the input, I will say event.target.value. And here I'm going to add my data, which will be here. I'm adding an object called target, and the value is hello. That means now, if I call this function here, now if I click on or I execute this function here, whenever the change happens, I am expecting the value to be this one. Okay, so now this value here, it will be the value of the input. It's just like I type hello, simply like that. So I'm firing an event, and the event here is change. I need to pass to which element I want to add this event. The element is input. And what value do I want to get to my input? Well, I want to get a value, let's say Jack. I want to give it Jack name. You can add any value you want to. But as you know, to access the value here, we need event.target.value. We don't have the event here. So what I can do, I can just pass an object here, and inside this object, that's my event. So the object here, it will be the event. I'm just trying to create something fake. So I'm saying, okay, that's my event, the object, and inside it, I have target, and inside it, I have value. And now what this event is going to do now, it will go inside the target, it will grab the value, and the value, it will be Jack. Okay, do I need to add an event to my button? Do I need to add any event to my button?
Yes.
Of course. Now I will do the same. Fire event dot what? What is the click? And then I will pass my element, which is button, as you can see. Fire event dot click, and I'm passing my element. Now you may tell me, okay, I'm passing my element. Why I'm passing this value here? Again, I need a value for the input, because if I don't have the value, well, I cannot test if this function is calling with this value or not. And that's the reason why I am passing an object with target and value. Okay, because now here I'm trying to simulate, trying to fake the event. So that's my event, the object. That will be inside is the target, and then there's a value. If I want to grab the value, then I will go to input dot here. So it will be event dot target dot value. Okay, now what do I want to do? Well, now what I want to do here, I can now test my function. And how can I do that? Well, I need to just say expect. What is my function? What's the name of my function? What is the name of my function?
Click handler.
So I need to just type click handler. And here I need to check if it's being called or not. How many times is being called? Oh, now it will be called actually with this value jack, right? So I need to call it with this value jack. So I'm not sure if it's being called with jack or not. So now I can add one of the matcher, which was it's called just to have called to have been called with this one here. So as you can see here, to have been called with, if I do that, jack. Now, if everything is okay, my test will pass. And as you can see, my test passed actually. Voila. So that's how actually we mark the event. So whenever I want to check if this function here, this function is called by any value, I need to do the same test here. First, I need to create a function. And in order to create a function, Vitest here by default give me function. So how can I do that? Well, I will just name my function whatever I want to. VI, I need to import. VI is mean Vitest, okay? That's the library, VI. I need to import it from Vitest. So a VI dot func, and I will exclude it. That means it's a function. So then I'm passing my function here. I will select my element. Now I want to add an event to my input. How can I do that? Well, I have something called fire event. Also, it's coming from React library. I know all of these terms are new for you. But then again, you don't need to memorize anything. You go to the library, you check. Go to the library, you check. Me too. Sometimes I make mistake. I go to the library, to the documentation to check. Okay, I want to fire the event. What is the event? Well, first I need to add event to my input here, change. And I need to pass my element here. Now I need to remember something. My input need a value. But how can I pass the value? Well, to pass the value, I will pass an object that will simulate the event, and inside the event, because we say event.target.value. So event.target, and here the value also here need to be inside an object. Why? Because whenever we are trying to access the value of the input, we say event.target. That means an object.value, and that's what we're trying to do. I want to add an event to bottom as well, so fire event.click. So I have all the event here. I want to click, I will need to pass my element here. Okay, now what do I need to do? I need to check that this function here is being called by this value. If it's being called by this value, that means my test is okay, my component is fine. So I will just say to have been called with jack. And voila. Clear? Not clear? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes, it's clear.
So again, all the time, if you want to test an input with the bottom, that's the way you do it. You don't need to remember anything again. You need to go to the documentation. And if you go to the documentation, it will give you some example like that. By the way, with just as we are doing the same idea as well. Even if you are using just, you will just change this VI with just. The rest, it will be the same. Okay, now I've tested this guy. Everything is fine. Now I'm quite sure I have my input. I am quite sure I have my button. Both of them exist in the document. I'm quite sure now this function here, whenever I type something in my input, the value here, it will be, when I click on the bottom, this value, it will be called with this function. And my test is passing, which is great. Now let's try to do the last one here. Any question before I move to the last part? Question? Something not clear? Hello? You asked me to learn testing with React. I didn't ask you to do so.
I have no voice.
It is okay?
Yeah, no question for me.
Good. Now the last one here, I will try to test when I'm trying to send a request to a backend. Now it will not be like I will not send the data to the backend to get it, but I can test it. I can mock it. Mock it, that means I can fake test it. So in order to do so, let me create a component here, and I will create a new file. I will name it user.gsx. And in here, let me create my component RAFCP. Let's remove this one here. And the prop, I don't think I need any props here. So let me get rid of those. Voila. Let me import my component user here. So import user. user component, voila. I just importing my user. I can render it here if I want to, voila. So that should be fine. Now, if I go to my user component, so what do I want to do here? Well, I just want to import two hooks because I'm planning to send a request to the backend. So I need use state and I need use
Effect.
effect. Both of them from React. So now what I need to do here, I need to create a piece of state. So I can just say const user set user. That should be simple. And now here I will try to send a request to get one user by ID. And so one user by ID, it will be an object. That's the reason why I add null. So I'm not planning to get a lot of users. I'm planning just to get one user. I need to create another folder here and let's name it APIs. APIs, which is correct. And now let's create a new file and name it get user.js only. Okay, let me stop this one. I need to install Axios. So let's just say npm I Axios. That should be good. Let me run my test again. Okay, fine. Now here in Axios, I need to import Axios first. So import Axios from Axios. And here I need to create a function. So const get user, which will be a sync function, as you know. And I need to export it, right? I told you I'm planning to get user by ID, so I need to pass the ID. Because I'm planning to get one user by ID. Let's create a try and catch block. If I have an error, what should I do? If I have an error, what should I do? Come on, guys, have we done it?
Console error.
So I need to log the error. Error. And if I don't have that, so let's just say const response, it's equal to await Axios dot like that. So I'm just trying to get the users as a link to user from JSON placeholder, and I'm passing the ID as you can see. So it should be normal. Now I need to check if the status is not 200, then I need to throw an error. So I can just say if res dot status it's not equal to 200, then I need to throw an error, as you can see. But I don't like it this way, so let me cut it this way, paste it this way. And I don't like the error this way as well, so I need to make backtick. Because I need the status. Well, that's what I want. Okay, now, if that's the case, if that's not the case, I'm just gonna return res.data. So that's my API. Should be okay, should be simple so far. Click on that, let's go to the user now. I need to import my API, as you know, right? Import, what was the name of my API? Get user, right? Okay, now I have this guy. Maybe I can show the error as well. So const and loading, I will not put loading simply because I don't want to create loading now. I'm gonna create, oh no, I'm gonna create the error message anyway. Error set error. And it's equal to use state. I'll not make it null. I'll make it just an empty string. Okay, that's fine. Now, what do I need to do here? I need to use my use effect, which take two parameters. It take a function and array of dependency. And here after that, I need to create a function. So I can just say const fetch user, which will be an async function, as you know. And of course, I need to do what after that? I need to call my function. If I don't call my function, nothing will happen, of course. I need to use try and catch. No, try and catch block. Where is my try and catch? So I'm using try and catch block, as you can see. So no. Try, and here I need my catch. Voila. Of course, if I have an error, I told you in Axios, the error, it will be an object. Then I need to set the error to error.message. It has a property called message. If, of course, I don't have any error, so I can just say const, maybe user, it's equal to await, and I need to call my API. I'm passing the ID 1, and the ID 1, I think the user, the ID 1, it will be Graham something. So let's say JSON placeholder. JSON placeholder, and if I go to users, where is users, voila, and it will give me the first user. So the name is Lian Graham or something like that. So I should get this object here because I'm trying to get user with ID 1. Fine, I will try to get my user. And now here, what do I want to do? Well, if everything is okay, I'm trying to set the user to the object I have. And now here I can render my stuff here conditionally. And here I can say, if there is an error, I'm rendering the error. If I have user, I don't want just a div actually. What I want here, I want to put this one between two brackets. And I want to render multiple element. So let me make it multiple line. And I want just to render the username and the user email. By the way, I need to put these parentheses here. Why? Because if I don't put these parentheses, it will render nothing. So I need to put these parentheses so it will render everything here. Okay. So when I have a user, if the user is true, it will render everything. If the user is false, null, that will render nothing, and I will have an error message, and the error message is be rendering. Of course, now I will try to test this component now here. Okay, so that's simply my component. It's not that complex. It's quite simple. I'm now try to test it. But how can I test this component? Well, in order to test it, I will need first to create a file. Why is not clicking? This file, it will be user, right? .test .gs, right? GSX actually. It will be better. So I need to import some stuff. What are the stuff I need to import? As usual. What do I need to import? Come on, guys. Render and screen.
Screen.
What do I need to import from Vitest? Expect, describe it, and VI as well. What else do I need to import? Well, I need to import my component, which will be not the header. I need to import user, like that. And also I need to import my API. Okay, I need to import my API. Import my API, which will be get user. Voila. Now, the first thing you need to know is that I cannot really use this API. Why? Because when we are testing anything related to HTTP request and the request to the backend, we should not send a real request. Why? Because whenever we send a real request, we will be changing something on the server. For example, let's say I have an API which is adding a user. So while I'm testing it and maybe change the database, I can, if my request was real, I'm sending a request to the backend, I will add different users, and that's really not what I want to. I want to test my component. I don't want to mess with the database. Do you understand my idea or not?
Yes.
Yes.
So again, what I need to do here, I need to somehow try to make a fake API. But how can I make a fake API? Well, again, Vitest give me something called mock API. So all I have to do here, notice, and that's always I need to do actually, whenever I am dealing with that. So if I say vi.mock, so as you can see here, and all I have to do now in the mock here, I need to pass this here, this guy here. So if I just pass now // as API like that, I don't want to render anything here. So let me just do this one like that, and hopefully it will work. So let me just close it. So what is creating now here? Well, it will create a fake API for me, and that's what I want to. I don't want to really send a request to the backend, because if I do so, it will change my database, and that's not what I want to. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating a fake API. And here, all I have to do, I just need to pass this path here. So when I pass the path here, it will go to my API, and then it will try to create a mock. Mock means not real, okay? It will create a fake API for me. And now after that, if I want to test my stuff, all the time when you are testing HTTP request or send request to the backend, you need to do that. For Jest, we are using the same. So we have just mock, same idea. So first now I need to write my describe, of course, you know my describe. And inside the describe, what do I need to do? I need to create it. So let me create my it. And as you know, my it will take two parameters. It will take an arrow function. And before that, it will take a string. Let me get rid of this one. I have an extra here. So what is the first step? I need to see if it will render my user data or not. So I don't really know if it will render my user data or not. I need to check. Okay, so let's see if it will render the user data or not. Render user data. What do I mean by that? Well, as you can see, if I go to the user, what I am rendering? I'm rendering the username and the user email. So if this API really working, it should render the username and the user email. I don't know what the username here. It will be Lina and Graham, and the email. It's email I'm using. Yes, and the email should be seen whatever this email here. Sincere at I don't know, april.piz. Okay, cool. But how can I do that? Well, that's my it here. First thing you need to know when you are dealing with APIs, that means I'm sending a request to the backend, right? Whenever I send a request to the backend, is it happen immediately or it's a sync task?
Async.
Async.
Because it's a sync task, it will be much easier for me to make this function async. It will be much easier for me to do that, okay? Why? Because the task I'm trying to do here, it will not happen immediately. I'm trying to send a request to the backend. That means it will be a sync task. So inside my it function, whenever I'm using it function, I need to use async. So that's fine. So what are my MAC data? What is my MAC user? So I can just say const MAC user. That means which user do I want to do here? I can add any name I want to, by the way. So I can add here name Jack and email. Let me add the email here. Because it's not real data, so it will not go really to the backend to check the user with ID 1. But here, let me add this one, it's fine. So the name, I will make it Jack, and the email, I will name it jack@gmail.com. So it's like real fake data, but it will make sure that this data exists or not exist inside my DOM. Okay, fine. What should I do after that? Well, now I'm sending a request, so I'm faking sending a request to the backend. So I need to wait for it until it's resolved, okay? It's just like, it's a promise, right? So when I'm using async, it's a promise. Promise, I told you we have two situations. Either my promise, it will be resolved or it will be rejected, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Either my promise is gonna be resolved or it's gonna be rejected. So, okay, what should I do now? Well, all I have to do now, I can just say get user, which will be my API. Remember, this API is being marked here. So it's not as a real API. I can just say get user, that's my API dot. Now, when the promise is being resolved, I can use this one here, which is called MAC resolve value. MAC resolve value, that means if I send a request to the backend and I get successfully my data. So in this case here, I'm using the API. Remember, it's not the real API. I've been mocking it here. So it's fake one, get user dot, and as you can see, MAC resolve value. MAC resolve value, that means I get my data. Okay? Yes, no? So MAC resolve, that means I get my data. MAC reject mean I did not get my data. So we have two, MAC resolve value or MAC reject value. MAC reject value, that means I have a problem with the API. I did not get my data. I got an error. And MAC resolve value, again, if you go to JSDOM here, you will find all these matcher there. But that's how we do it for when we are trying to do an HTTP request. So get user dot MAC, I'm saying here, whenever I'm sending a request to this get user, which actually it's not a real one here, I'm just mocking it, so fake one. If the value is being resolved, that means if I get my data, this data here, I'm passing this value here. So, okay, if I'm getting this value, what should I do now? Well, now I need to render my component. What was my component? What was my component?
User.
User. So I'm rendering my user component here. Now, what do I need to do? I need now to expect now the value. So the value here of the name, the value of the name, it should be, what's the value of the name? He should be in the screen here. So if I go here, I'm rendering it. Of course, if I get my user, it will show me username and user email. So now I will try to get the user by name, and the name here I pass Jack, and also by email, and the email is jack@gmail.com. So if I have this value in the document, that means everything's fine. Again, now after I render my data, so all of those are sitting here. I'm just mocking my API, faking it. After that here, I make it async function. I told you because I'm trying to send is async task. Then here I'm just passing some data, whatever the data you want to. Then here I'm saying, okay, if I use this fake API and the value results, I get my data. And to say that I get my data and you say mock resolve value, that's the data I am getting here. Fine. Now, what should I do here? What I'm expecting here? Well, I am expecting, and now here I'm expecting I need to use something. As you know, I need to use await. Why do I need to use await? Can anyone tell me why do I need to use await?
Because it's a promise.
Yes, so I need to wait for those until they are resolved because this task does not happen immediately. So I need to use await and then just say screen. I can find by text if I want to. What's the name of the user? Find by text. What's the name of the user?
Jack.
Jack. Or whatever you want to. Jack is capital, right? So let me just use Jack like that to be in the document. That means if really my API, fake API is being resolved, I should see Jack in the document, which is nice. And also I should see the email, right? Yes, no? So I will do this for email. So I'm expecting await find by text. I need to pass the email, which is this one. I don't, oh shit, sorry. Let's just type it, jack@gmail.com, and I need to close it, of course. Well, and I'm expecting also the email to be in the document. So now what I am doing here, well, as you can see, I'm passing. And how could I know I'm passing? Well, as you can see, user.test.js. So actually the user data is rendering. How could I know that? Well, again, first, in the beginning of everything, I need to mock my API. That means I should never, ever, while I'm testing the HTTP request, I do it in real. Why? Because if I do in real, I will mess with the database, and that should never do that. I should like make a fake HTTP request. And lucky for us, Jest and also Vitest, both of them make everything easy for us. So all I have to do, I just say vi mock, and I need to pass here the path to my API here. I'm passing it, voila. After that, I will put my describe my it, and because it's this one, it will be a sync task. My it function, all of them, they will be async. Now I need to somehow put some data. So if I'm getting this user, I should have some data. Why? Because I'm rendering what I'm rendering in my component. I'm rendering the name and the email only. So I need to now to write some data. It could be any data I want to. So I'm saying mock user. That means the real I am, or the user I am expecting. His name is Jack and his email is like that. Fine. I have two options now. Either my HTTP request, it will be successful or it will be rejected. So if it's successful, so I'm using the API. Remember, this API is not a real one. Why? Because I'm mocking it here. So I'm making a fake one. Get user dot mock resolve value. That means if my request was successful, I need to pass my data here. I'll render my user. Then if that's a successful, this user here, it will be rendered in the screen. And here I'm checking await screen. Why do I need to await? Well, because this task, it will take some time and they're async tasks. So I need to use await here. If I don't use await, it will not pass the test. So await screen dot find by text, and the name here I'm expecting to be Jack. I'm expecting that Jack must be in the document. And indeed, Jack is a document. It's the same idea for the email. And that's really how we test our API. It will be the same idea for any API we want to test. Is the idea clear? Yes, no?
Yes.
Now we test one situation if our HTTP request was successful. But what if our HTTP was not successful? So I need to test this one as well. But how can I test that? Well, let's try to do it. So here I can just say it. And here, of course, it should render the error message, right? So render error message. Why? Because simply, as you can see here, if I'm not getting my data users, that means I will have an error, and I'm rendering the error message, as you can see, right? So I need to test this one as well to see if it's working or not. Okay, so here I will just say render error message. Okay, now I need to pass a function. What's the function it will be? What's this function it will be? What type of function it will be? What type of function? You don't need to think about it. We are using HTTP request. What type?
Async?
Of course, it will be a sync function. Okay, now it's a sync function. That's very nice here. Let's create our error message. It can be any error message I want to. So let's say const error or message if you want to. I don't know. You can name it error message or message. It's fine. You can create any message you want to. and the message I want to create, it will be failed to fetch user. That's the message I want to. Now, I will use the same technique, get user. That's my fake API now. But here, I will not use mock resolve. Why? Because mock resolve in case it's successful. But in case it's not successful, I will use mock, as you can see, mock rejected value. So mock, not resolve, reject. Reject. Where is my reject? Mock reject. Mark rejected, it was rejected, yes. Rejected value. Well, on here, I will pass my error message. Of course, I can throw an error, say just new error message. Why? Because I need to throw an error. So here I need to throw an error. Why? Because in my fake API, and what I'm doing, I'm throwing an error. So I should throw an error and I should get this message. Okay, let's go back. So here, that will be my error message. So I'm saying get user, mark rejected value. So in case I did not get my data for some reason, I will throw an error, and the error here, it will be this message here. Well, now I need to render my component, right? So I need to render my component. I'm rendering my component. Now, if I get this message, if my HTTP request failed, I should see this error message in the DOM, right? Yes, no? So if I did not have the user data, what I will see in the DOM?
Error message.
So I will see the error message. Now I need to check if the error message exists or not. If it exists in the DOM, that means everything is okay. That means when I have an error, it will show the error message, and like that, I test my component successfully. So in order to do that, all I have to do, I just say expect. And also I need to use await again. Why? Because it's async task. And here I need to use screen dot find by text. What is the text of my error message? What is the text? What is the text? What is the text of my error message?
Failed to fetch user.
That means this variable, right?
Mm-hmm.
As this variable. And here it must be to be in the document, right? To be in the document. Where is that? To be in the document one. And of course, this one here, I need to execute it. Now, I have an error actually. Why? I don't know. To be in the document, to be in the document. It should be correct actually. Not sure, but here it's telling me to be in the document is not correct, which is strange. Well, as you can see, sometime it could happen. So now
the bracket was in a bad place.
That's fine. So as you can see, if I am using with APIs and I want to test my API, whatever the API is, all of them, it will be the same technique. So all I have to do first, I need to import this render and screen as usual, expect, describe it as usual, VI. We need VI when you try to mock something. Okay, now after that, I need to import my user component and I need to import my API. Now, remember everything here. When you are really trying to test an API in Jest or in Vitest or in any library, you cannot send a real request to the backend because it will mess up with your database, and that's not what you want to at all. Okay, that's fine. What should I do? I should try to mock my APIs. That means create a fake API. How can I do that? Well, VI, by the way, the Jest is the same idea. Just you remember, replace VI with Jest. VI.mock, and I need to just send this pass here. Now, what this guy will doing, it will go to my API, and after that, it will kind of change my API. It will not make it real. It will change it. It's not my job. It's the job of the library. It will go to my API and try to fake or create a fake API. So now I will just put my describe. Inside my describe, I have two cases. Whenever I'm sending a request to the backend, I have two cases, no three cases. Either I'm going to get my data or not. Okay, fine. Now here, render user data. If I get my data, I will see the user data because I'm trying to fetch user. Well, if I did not get user data, it should render the error message. I have no other possibility. Now, I need to create my user data. And because I am rendering only the user name and email, now if I render something else, I need to add them. For example, if the address, I need to render the address as well. But it's the same idea. So now here, I'm trying to render the user name and email. Just fake name and fake email. And I name it mock user. That means not real user. Now I can use the API here, my API get user. Remember, that's not the real API. Why? Because VI mock, it just changed it. Now, when I say get user, I have two possibilities. Either mock resolve value or mock reject value. Mock resolve value, that means my HTTP was successful. Mock reject value, that means it was not successful. Okay, now if my data is successful, or mock resolve value, and I'm passing my user data to it. If it was successful, that means I should see the username and the user email on the DOM because it's successful. Okay, fine. And now I need to render my user, of course. And after I render my user, I will just expect I need to use await because that's a sync task. Screen.find by text. And I can find the element by text. So Jack here, I'm passing Jack, as you can see. And to be in the document. If Jack is the document, that means everything's fine. My API is working. And also I need to check the email, the same idea. And as you can see, I'm passing all the tests. That means whenever my API get my user successfully, it will render successfully my username and the email. Okay, what if it was not successful for some reason? Well, I will have an error message. Again, I need to write my own error message. And after that, I just say same get user, mark rejected values. That means here my HTTP was not successful. And here I will just say new error because I need to throw new error, and I need to pass my message. I will render my component, and after that, I'm expecting what screen find by text. I should see this text here. I should see this error message text. Why? Because in my user here, whenever I have an error, see error, if it's not empty string, in my real data, what I'm doing, I'm just setting it to error.message, so it will be string. So if I have any error, it will just show me this error inside this div. That means if my HTTP was not successful, I should find the message inside my DOM to be in the DOM, and now it is successful. I think it should be clear if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's new, but it should be clear. Now I have just a small thing here. Now, what if I don't care if Jack is uppercase or lowercase or blah, blah, or blah, blah. What should I do? Well, I assume you know a little bit regular expression if I'm not mistaken. Yes, no? So a regular expression, normally here we use it with string. It's just 2//. And now here I can make the case insensitive. So I can just say I. What do I mean by is like that? Or I have failing test. Why? Find. Yes, but I have Jack. Yeah, it should work actually. No, that's not gonna work. It will fail. I thought that we can use actually a regular expression here. We should be able to use them actually. So if I say do /, and in here I just type Jack, and yeah, now it's working. Come on. Yeah, but I want case insensitive. Well, it looks like that's not gonna work. But anyway, if you want to render the Jack here, the guy here, the name, you can do it this way. You can, no, go back. So what you can do here, let's render Jack as a lowercase. Yeah, you need to render this one lowercase. It will not work because it's string, and string, every letter must be the same exactly. And if I now queue it and run it again, it should work because this one is Jack and this one should be Jack, but I have an error. Voila, now it should be good. But anyway, come on. I don't have an error. Voila, it is working now. Is the idea of sending a request or testing an HTTP request is clear, guys, or not? Yes, no?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You explained it perfectly.
Okay, so that's most of the time that you're gonna test here in your React app. Of course, I've give you the basic of testing. Still, there is a lot to learn. There's a lot of documentation, but I think for you as a beginner, if you know those, that's really good. How to test your HTTP request, how to test your form or your event, different events the user do. And of course, you can test any event you want to. It's the same idea. How to fire an event, change and get the value and the button. And after that, if you have some props, how can you grab the text and check and make sure that the probe is being passed or not. So that's the basic testing here we can use with Vitest. I've shared with you, of course, different documentation, so React library and React JSDOM, which is you find all the matcher. And of course, I will share with you also the recording. And to set up your environment, of course, you can just go to week 4 and you'll find it here. Remember, we have for JavaScript and then we have for TypeScript. I just added both of them, so in case you in the future you want to add TypeScript. With TypeScript, it's simple actually. And yeah, so that's everything related to debug your React component and also simple basic testing of React component. Now, I've shared with you Vitest. I've shared with you testing library. I shared with you also JSDOM here. And yeah, so yeah, I know now what your job it will be. You can now create a simple simple application, a React application. I don't care about the application if it's complex or not, but you try to write test for them, try to test your input. When you click on button, you try to test your header, you try to test your API, sending a request, for example, to get joke or whatever you want. What else I need to show you? Is there anything else I want to show you? Yeah, I need to, yeah, voila. Also, if I go to YouTube, I've shared with you a series actually in YouTube. Not you. Let's go to my account. So if you go to this series here, they are using testing. Actually, it's a whole series about testing. He explained very well testing actually. Also, you have next if you want to. I don't want next actually. I want the playlist. So if you go to here, React testing, now he's testing with Jest and TypeScript, but then again, Jest or Vitest, it's actually the same idea as I told you. The only difference here, we will replace Jest with VI, that's it. So here it's series 14 video and explain very well testing. I think it will be very useful for you to go through this tutorial here because it's really explained well. And yeah, of course, not now, maybe in the evening, you can do that, or maybe even after this week. Let me actually stop recording, should be enough.